Pam Fox at pamfox.org, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about heel drops. So for those of you that haven't heard of heel drops, if you have a hiatal hernia, there was a guy, I think he was a personal trainer, and he made a video on YouTube about how he did heel drops to reverse his hiatal hernia and become symptom free. And it kind of went viral. And I've heard some other people mention that they've tried the heel drops and gotten good results from that. I've heard people say they've tried heel drops and not gotten good results, or it just kind of made them feel sicker. When I first heard about heel drops, I did try them. I did feel sicker, and I'm going to explain kind of one of the reasons why that can be. And then when I went on to reverse my hiatal hernia and create my online course, I did not include heel drops in the course, only because it wasn't what I used in my protocol to reverse my own hiatal hernia. But I do believe there can be benefit from heel drops, and I'm going to tell you why I think they work, and I'm going to explain why in some people they can exacerbate symptoms or make you feel worse. So first of all, for those of you that don't know, heel drops are simply, I'll get up and demonstrate in a moment, but they're simply a method of kind of bouncing on your heels in order to get your stomach to kind of jolt downward from that gravity from the bouncing. So I'll just demonstrate really quickly. So basically you just raise up on your tiptoes and you drop on your heels. So you drop, drop, drop. And the instruction for heel drops is to drink water first. So drink about a pint of warm water to relax the stomach and to weigh it down. So if you had a water balloon and you were bouncing it like that, it would jolt downward, right? And so that's kind of the idea with heel drops. So sometimes people, when they do this, they get very nauseous. So there's pretty simple explanation to that. When you start bouncing like that, it's going to slosh the contents of your stomach, and if there's any acid in your stomach at the time that you're doing those heel drops, and you do experience reflux, that's one of your symptoms. That acid can get up onto the LES, irritate that a little bit, and cause you to feel some nausea. It can also cause the same agitation, like if you were to shake up a can of Pepsi, and it would build up pressure and want to release. So you might feel like additional belching from those heel drops. Others complain that the heel drops really hurt their knees, or hurt their ankles, it hurt their back, which is why I'm talking about this today. I actually had a question from Terry. So Terry says, I had been suffering from GERD and PPIs weren't really working well, and I tried heel drops and had the best night's sleep ever with no GERD symptoms. Only negative was when I woke up in the morning, my back hurt, and it felt like my kidney also hurt on the left side from the impact created from the heel drops. I'm afraid to keep doing them and exacerbate back pain or other possible injuries. Any ideas? So I've heard this quite a bit. I've heard Anna's commenting back pain as well. I've heard this quite a bit from people. So, if you're not particularly if you're not in particularly good, level of fitness, and you do these heel drops, it's an impact, and so it can affect your joints. I've never heard of the kidneys, but that makes sense. I mean, your kidneys are down, at the bottom of the abdominal cavity, and so you're doing this, this jolting movement that forces everything downward. Okay, so I am going to give a demonstration of an adaptation you can do to heel drops. They are a form of heel drops. They're just less impact on the joints. But before that, I just want to talk a little bit about why heel drops do and don't work for people. So if you have a smaller hiatal hernia and you practice heel drops, they may benefit you greatly, because your hiatal hernia is small, and that little bit of pressure helps move that stomach down. You may notice that your symptoms come and go and you're having to do them all of the time. This is where it's really important to understand intragastric pressure and the different things that you are probably doing that are always pushing your stomach up. So I've done several videos about that. Constipation is a big one. If you're having to bear down in order to pass a bowel movement all of the time, and that's been your norm most of your life, that's a lot of ongoing pressure that pushes your stomach upward. People don't realize this. There's a lot of different things. If you have poor posture, that can push your stomach up. If you have chronic coughing, chronic sneezing, that can push your stomach up. If you have bloating, that can push your stomach up. So there's a lot of different things that support your hiatal hernia. Paul says heel drops were hit or miss for me. Yeah, hey Paul. So if you have a smaller hiatal hernia, the downward movement of the stomach can unherniate that hernia. But like I said, you have to understand what's supporting your hernia, what's constantly pushing it back up again, so you can start working on those things, okay? So if it's constipation and bloating, you have to take a look at your diet. And there are other things as well. So the other thing is, if you have a larger hiatal hernia and you start doing these heel drops, so let's say a large portion of your stomach is above your diaphragm, and then a portion is below your diaphragm, and you start bouncing, but it's lodged there. It's lodged. That's just going to create further agitation, and it's probably going to make you feel worse. It's probably not going to dislodge. Even with a smaller hiatal hernia, if there's a lot of attachments there because you've had a hernia for a very long time, it starts to pull, but it's grown, it's attached to your diaphragm. So, and it's not dislodging. So that may give you more irritation. Those tissues, you have to remember the tissues of the hernia, the diaphragm, the stomach, the esophagus, all of those tissues can be very irritated, agitated, and inflamed anyway, just because of the hernia. And then you start pulling, that stomach downward like that. So it's going to further agitate those tissues, and so it may cause additional pain at the site as well. So yeah, for some people they find it very beneficial. For others, it makes them feel a whole lot worse. So keep those things in mind. If you have a small hiatal hernia, I think heel drops are something you can try. I think it is best to do it on an empty, in the morning when you haven't eaten, and drink some water, because that will, weigh it down a little bit. And then I think the most important thing you can do, and I'm going to show you the adaptation, but the most important thing you can do when you practice your heel drops is to relax your abs. So the reason this is so important, if you're new to following me, is because when you're tightening your abs, when you're sucking in your gut, instead of relaxing those abdominal muscles, all of that pressure is holding your stomach up, okay? So now you've got your stomach trying to bounce down to do this, but you've got pressure in the abdominal cavity that's holding that stomach up, and it's not letting it fully come downward, right? But once you really relax those abdominal muscles, then it really gives that room, and it decreases the pressure in your abdominal cavity so that stomach has room to move down. That's so, so important. So if you're going to practice regular heel drops or the exercise that I'm about to show you, make sure that you're wearing loose clothing and that you relax the abs. Okay, so for the exercise, I'm just going to stand up here. So one thing I like to advise is to anchor your stomach. Anchoring your stomach means coming over to your left side. Everything's reversed because I'm streaming live, but coming over to your left side, finding your left rib. Here's my rib cage, and here's center. So I want to come about 3 to 4 inches over to the left and anchor the stomach. And that just involves pushing on this spot right here, which is the fundus, or the greater curvature of your stomach. And you can Google that image to get a better idea of where your fundus is located. But it's about right here on the left-hand side. And you're just going to put a little bit of pressure on that, and that just kind of anchors it downward. We're going to do these heel drops to get it to move down more so, but the anchoring of it kind of helps it, keeps it so it can't slide back up, as hernias like to do. So instead of coming up on your toes and drop, 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 and remember you need to relax your abdominal muscles, you're just going to bend your knees and bounce, bounce, bounce. Okay, so you can do this. You can try it for about 30 seconds. Bounce, 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 bounce. Try that for about 30 seconds and see how you feel. Again, if you feel more agitated, if you feel more, if you feel nausea, if you feel additional pain at the site, then maybe you're not ready for heel drops. Maybe you need to do a more gentler form of stomach movement. We've lost visual, but I think we still have audio. So we'll just give that a second to catch up. So if you're still with me and you've got audio, I'll just continue to describe the duration of the heel drop. So I would advise doing that bounce, bounce, bounce. Remember to relax for that. Okay, so thank you for those of you that stuck around. I'm just going to wrap this up. So yeah, start out with about 30 seconds, just bending at the knees, bobbing up and down. That's still going to create that same movement of the stomach, downward movement of the stomach. If it makes you feel worse, don't do it and revert to a more gentler protocol, the exercises that I teach to gently move the stomach downward. All right, so thank you so much. Remember, if you want more information about me or my online courses or my coaching, you can go to my website, pamfox.org. And if you have a specific question about today's topic, make sure you type it in the comment section below. All right, thanks for watching.